Hi, I'm Matt and welcome to Drummers Review. In this video, we're going to take a look at a pair of snare drums from Canopus drums. If you enjoy these videos, then please don't forget to hit subscribe and click on the bell icon to be notified of future content. Also, for all the latest drum news and special features, check out drummersreview.com. Japanese company Canopus have been designing and producing drums for over 40 years and have built a solid reputation throughout that time for their innovative design and expert craftsmanship. The two snares we have here today are the 14 by 6.5 inch Yaiba II model and the 14 by 5.5 inch one-ply soft maple, which are just a small sample of some of the many instruments Canopus manufacture. Starting with the one-ply soft maple, it has a 5.5mm maple shell with reinforcement rings top and bottom in an aging maple lacquer finish. Elsewhere, the drum sports nickel-plated straight brass hoops, which Canopus say are perfectly suited to the reproduction of the classic vintage sound. Added to this, it has 8 T-shaped double-ended tube lugs, Canopus bolt-tight tension rods, 20-strand vintage snare wires, and a Canopus switch snare throw-off, which is specially designed to prevent the snares loosening while in use. Finally, it sports Remo-made, Canopus-branded coated hazy ambassador batters over a clear snare side resonant. Moving on to the Yaiba II model, it features a 6-ply all-maple shell in an indigo matte lacquer finish, with 2.3mm power hoops, 8 chrome Canopus Yaiba lugs, and Canopus bolt-tight tension rods. Heads-wise, it sports the same Canopus-branded Remo-made hazy ambassador batter over snare side clear, with 20-strand Canopus vintage snare wires being held in place by a classic style snare throw-off and butt plate. The one-ply soft maple has a recommended UK retail price of £1,1299.95, while the Yaiba II model comes in at £549.99. Let's take a closer listen before coming back for our thoughts. Upon unboxing, the one-ply soft maple snare is slightly underwhelming in terms of its appearance. The aging maple finish gives the shell an almost blonde colour, whilst the associated hardware appears somewhat generic to the point it slightly cheapens the overall appearance. On the other hand, the Yaiba II model grabbed our attention much more, with its indigo shell and unique looking lugs combining to give a much more striking first impression. Sitting down to play and at a medium tuning, the one-ply soft maple gives a clean, clear tone with plenty of volume. The thick maple shell gives it a warm overall sound and adds depth that complements the clarity nicely. Tuned lower, it gives a hearty full sound with plenty of tone and a nice warm fundamental note. With the snares off, it's almost tom-like, while the snares on gives a deep throaty rasp. Finally, when cranked up, it gives a loud, clean, clear bark with plenty of attack and projection. Rim shots give a full, beefy tone, with added ring thanks to the straight brass hoops, which should help it cut through in any musical setting. Moving on to the Yaiba II model, in a medium tuning it sounds full, warm and well-rounded, coupling a nice amount of fundamental with clear attack and good projection. Taking the tuning down and you get a deep full tone with plenty of sustain and overtone, which may need a little harnessing for both live and in the studio. Tuned up, it couples a well-projected attack with a fat-sounding fullness to give a pleasingly musical snap with lots of depth. Overall, both drums gave a great account of themselves, although if we're completely honest, in terms of sound, we probably preferred the Yaiba II model over the one-ply maple model. In terms of build quality, the shell of the one-ply maple really stood out as being an exquisite piece of craftsmanship. It felt beautifully smooth and perfectly round, and the aging maple finish was applied perfectly. Unfortunately, this was let down slightly by some of the tension rods, which did feel a little grainy and difficult to get finger tight. That said, although the shell hardware didn't feel like it matched the quality of the shell, it mostly did as it was designed to do, albeit in quite a basic way. The Yaiba II model, however, was pretty much flawless. Smooth bearing edges, perfectly round shell and silky tension rods, all combined with the almost Art Deco looking lugs to make for a very pleasant overall experience. Musically, we can see both of these drums working well in a multitude of different styles, thanks to their wide tuning ranges and clean, clear tones. The one-ply maple model may suit more acoustic or quieter settings better than full-on rock settings, but with the tuning cranked up, both would project enough to be heard in most scenarios. Coming in at almost £1,300, we feel that the one-ply maple is somewhat of a special purchase rather than an everyday snare drum. Given its slightly underwhelming finish and the minor flaws in the shell hardware, we can't help but feel it's somewhat overpriced, despite the amount of work that has obviously gone into producing such a beautiful shell. The Yaiba II snare, however, is a different story, being a fantastic instrument that gives a great first impression. With a price tag of around £550, it offers good value for money for a versatile musical instrument. As always, we'd love to know what you think. Drop us a comment below, subscribe and click on the bell icon to be notified of future content, and we'll see you next time here at Drummers Review.